Hello everyone, this is Renifa Anishekar from Informatica GCS. In this video, we'll be seeing about PIM Supplier Portal customizations. Agenda of this video includes introduction, customization options of styling and email templates, followed by its demo. Introduction. PIM Supplier Portal is a web application which can be configured and customized in many different ways. Most of its customizations can be done with the help of JSON configuration files without actually writing the code. There's also a remote API for integration with other systems and can be used to retrieve the supplier data. In this video, we'll be discussing the below three customization options: customizing mail templates, styling CSS, and customizing customer landing pages. There are few more customization options which can be found in the Informatica documentation set, that is customizing manual. Let's move on to customization options of styling and email templates. The emails that are sent by the portal administrators to suppliers and portal users can be changed or customized from the HTML files found under Mail Templates of Configuration folder. Styling CSS. The design of the supplier portal, for example the fonts, colors and the images, can be customized or changed by updating the custom CSS file. Application logo can also be customized. Next is the customizing customer landing pages. Static pages like the login page, the support box, terms and condition information, imprint and other registration data can also be updated. All these can be done by updating the HTML files which are found in Tomcat Web Apps folder. Next we'll move on to customizing mail templates. We can specify the directory from which the mail templates are loaded. This can be configured in configuration.properties file. The default location is configuration mail templates folder. All the default templates from the installation package are HTML files that are provided in German and English language. If any other languages has to be added, that can be provided as a file with a corresponding file name suffix in the mail templates folder. By updating these HTML files, we can have the email content sent from the portal to the supplier users changed or modified according to our requirement. Next, we'll move on to customizing static HTML files. Supplier Portal is a dynamically created rich internet application which is built upon a few static HTML pages. The customer landing page can be customized by updating its specific HTML file under Tomcat Web Apps HSX HTML folder. Any change with the HTML file requires the redeployment of HSX WAR file for the changes to reflect. This includes customizing the login box, support box, terms and conditions, favicon, application logo, etc. Now let's move on to customizing styles CSS. The appearance of the supplier portal can be changed by replacing the default CSS styles with the custom styles. Once the PIM supplier portal is installed, we can find the custom.css file under Tomcat Web Apps HSX HTML CSS folder. By modifying this custom.css file, we can customize the supplier portal application as per the requirement. The below example shows customizing the color scheme of the login screen of supplier portal. This example we'll be seeing in the demo which is following in the presentation. Now let's move on to build and deploy customizing. For any changes to be done within Tomcat Web Apps HSX HTML folder requires the HSX WAR file to be redeployed. The best practices are unzip the WAR file into an empty directory, and the HTML files which requires the modifications has to be done within this unzipped WAR file. Once the changes are done, repack the content into a zip file and rename the zip file into the WAR file again. Once this is done, and deploy the old WAR file using the Tomcat Manager application. The URL of that is given below: http localhost 9090/manager/html. The user details to log in this has to be provided in the Tomcat users.xml file, and that user should have the role of manager GUI and admin GUI. Once this is done, deploy the new WAR file by dropping the file into the Tomcat Web Apps folder. This will pick all the changes which has been made in the HTML files and will have it displayed in the supplier portal application. Now let's move on to the demo part. This is the supplier portal installation folder. Under configuration mail templates, you will find all the templates provided within the package. Here you can find the templates available in English, German and few other languages. This we can see from 10.5 version, and if in any other languages the templates has to be available, you can place it here as the HTML file. Now let's make a modification in one of the file. I'm taking this reject supplier en. So I'll just update this content. I'm just changing it to your request has been denied. This is when the supplier has been rejected by the portal administrator. This requires the supplier portal to be restarted. So I'll just restart the supplier portal. Once it's restarted, we'll just have a new supplier created and we'll reject the supplier and see the email being sent to the supplier. So in this way, we can modify the content of the email which is being sent from the portal to the suppliers. Also, if we need the templates to be available in any other languages, and if we have the license for that, we can have those HTML files placed in the configuration mail templates folder. And this configuration is available in the configuration.properties file. Now we have started the PIM Supplier Portal application. I will just register a new supplier here. Now I will log in with a portal administrator user account. Here you can see new supplier has been registered for fashion catalog. Just click on this handle request. We'll get this accept supplier and reject supplier notification. I'm just clicking on this reject supplier. Each of this template corresponds to the action which we do in the portal and what kind of mail to be sent to the supplier. So now I have rejected the supplier. This is the email which I get when I am registering myself in the supplier portal application. So this is done and I have rejected the supplier as well. So now I will get the rejection email from the supplier portal. Your request has been denied and testedinformatica.com. So what all changes we have done in the template, that has been reflected in the email. In this way we can have the content modified and we can have the details added in the mail templates provided. Now let's move on to customizing styles and customizing static HTML files. For customizing styles, the appearance of the supplier portal can be changed by changing the default styles with the custom styles, and this file will be available under Tomcat Web Apps HSX HTML CSS folder once the supplier portal is installed. By default, custom.css will not have any content and the default styles will be used. If any customization is required, we need to have the content updated here. Most of the browsers supports customizations by allowing to identify the elements. So by default, before directly changing it into the custom.css file, we can validate it from the browser inspection of Chrome and Firefox or any other browsers. So I have changed the custom.css file to change the login box background and the font color by providing this content. As this request changes within Tomcat Web Apps HSX HTML folder, it is advisable to have the HSX var file redeployed, and it is not advisable to make any changes directly into the HSX folder, as with every redeployment of HSX var file, the changes would be vanished. Now let's move on to see how the background image of supplier portal can be changed. This is the image which we see by default in the supplier portal once it is installed. To have it changed, the corresponding file will be available in HSX HTML images symphony folder, and the name of the file is background.jpg. This logo and logo 2 are the icons which we see once we log in into the supplier portal with the user credentials. So to have the background image change, we need to replace this file with the image file, and we need to rename the file name as background.jpg file. This will also require the HSX var file to be redeployed. Then we'll see how to customize the static HTML files. Under Tomcat Web Apps HSX HTML folder, we find all the static HTML files of supplier portal application. This last password will redirect to the page to reset the password. Registration is the page for the supplier to register into the supplier portal application, and this is the login HTML file. HSP HTML file is the page which will be redirected once the user is logged in, and login.html file is the page which gets displayed before the user is authenticated. Let me take one example, which is terms.html file, and this imprint and terms.html will not have any content by default, and as per the requirement we need to have the terms and conditions as per organization defined here. Let me just open this. If you see here, you can find please fill in your terms and conditions here. So we need to fill in the terms, conditions and other contents which we need to update. We can update it over here. So I have changed it like conditions to be followed. Please make sure the conditions are met as per our company guidelines. So far I have changed terms.html file, custom.css, and I'm gonna update the background.jpg image. So what I have done is I have copied the hsx.war file to a dummy location, and then I have extracted the contents of this hsx.war file into this hsx folder. And this background image is what I will gonna be update in the supplier portal, and this custom.css file will have the custom styles, and this terms and conditions have the conditions which I have updated here. Now I will move this custom.css file to this location. Now I will move this background image to this location. Now I will move this terms and conditions into this location. So I have updated all these into the extracted hsx war file. Now I need to rezip it back, and I will update this hsx folder with the name hsx.war file. Just to not confuse it, I will have this hsx war file deleted. Now I will zip it back. This is zipped. Now I will rename the file into hsx.war. Once the file is renamed to hsx.war file, we need to undeploy the old war file and redeploy this new war file. For this, we need to log into Tomcat Manager application. So as I have logged in multiple times, it has taken it from cache. The user details of it has to be defined in Tomcat users.xml file, which you will find it here. So this user should have the roles admin GUI and manager GUI to access this Tomcat Manager UI application. So here if you see, there is an undeploy option, so click this. So now the hsx folder is undeployed. You can confirm it by navigating to the Tomcat web apps folder. So the hsx var file is undeployed. Now you need to redeploy the new var file with the changes of HTML files and the images which you have added now. So let me copy this file and paste it here. By pasting it in the Tomcat web apps folder, this new var file would be deployed. See, the hsx folder is created. Let's wait for the changes to be reflected in the supplier portal. You can restart supplier portal if in case to ensure that all the changes are reflected properly. So if if you see, I have loaded already the supplier portal. The background image is updated. I have just changed the color of this login box to magenta and the content area to black. So the content area has been changed to black, and then I have updated the terms.html. So if you see, conditions to be followed, conditions are met as per our company guidelines. So all the changes which we have done have been reflected here. That's the end of our demo now. Now let's move on to the summary. So all the detailed documentation of customization options can be found in the customizing manual. We have few more customization options, so you can find it in the documentation set. So the customized mail templates, if required to be provided in any other desired language, can be added by providing the respective file with the corresponding file name suffix under the mail templates directory. Changing the styling and the static HTML pages require the HSX var file to be repackaged and redeployed, and it is not advisable to change the content of HSX directly because all changes will be lost whenever the var file is redeployed, and it is also not advisable to change anything directly in the temp directory of Tomcat folder because these are internal folders of Tomcat, and the results will not be as expected, and changes will be lost after Tomcat restart. Thank you all. We would love to hear from you. So kindly share your feedback in the links provided below.